You could argue that we're getting into the negative territory. This is where fiat starts to actually get in the way of technological innovation. Folks like Jeff Booth have argued that these are opposing forces, which you illustrate in your equation, which is like on the technological innovation side, everything is getting cheaper, prices are deflating,
Yeah.
Moore's law, all this stuff. And then on the flip side, the inflationary, let's call it just manipulated money supply. I don't like saying inflationary, deflationary because it's too conclusive. It's manipulated. The whole thing is
I
opaque and
agree. I
manipulated.
agree. Yeah.
So this opaque manipulated that increases monetary entropy, which is negates technological innovation, right? And it disallows us to create more order, which theoretically Bitcoin could solve, right? That's the promise.
That is the promise, and that's also how you can get to kind of an exponent, like a kind of an indefinite scaling exponentially. And to your point about Jeff Booth, I do want to give him a shout out because his views, his book has been a huge influence on kind of my thinking about this. Because for 15 years as an investor, I was really struggling with the whole notion of how money can be printed and the Fed can kind of increase all these reserves, and yet we have these kind of massive deflationary forces. Some of them are good forces, some of them are bad, and I think he just did a great job of framing it in a way. And I think you hit the nail on the head just now by saying that we shouldn't make this narrative about deflation or inflation, because those are loaded words. Inflation makes people think 1970s. In my personal view, even though I thought this a couple of years ago, I no longer think that we can really repeat the 1970s for a lot of reasons, which we can get into if you want, but that's a whole different rabbit hole. So I think his book really helps us understand the wheel spinning that we're doing and trying to fight the force of progress, and how if we find something that can basically go in tandem with that flow, with where innovation wants to go, that abundance will kind of make itself evident to us in a much more prominent way. So yeah, I totally agree with that.